Oh my gosh, so many people ask me this question. Should I buy real estate at market value? And you know what? I could say yes and be wrong, and I could say no and be wrong. So today it's going to be a video to break it all down for you. Should I buy my home at market value, Stephen Miller?
Yes. No. What? It depends.
It does, and it's going to come down to the ROI. And today we're going to educate you on what's called a blended ROI. We're dealing with one property, one investment, but this one investment is making you money in a number of different ways. And on some of them it's more and some of them is less. So what we're going to do today is we got to start with the definition of what something is really worth.
Absolutely.
Stephen, what is a home really worth?
Well, a home is really worth what other people are willing to pay for it. And
Wait. You're telling me that if there's a home that there's 100 condos and they've all been selling for $100,000, and if I can buy one for $80,000 and I actually get my hands on it, that is by definition still what that home is only worth?
It's still by definition what it's only worth. And this is important because a lot of people say, hey, I want to buy a home with a massive amount of equity. And that's the only way I'm ever going to get into real estate is if I can buy a home with a lot of equity.
And that would be really short-sighted because equity is only one of the levers that you want to control when actually looking at a deal holistically. It's not as simple as, well, what's its equity play? By the way, I bought homes with crazy amounts of equity that I lost money on.
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying that equity cannot be the only thing that you look at in isolation. So instead, we're talking about how do you make an intelligent purchase.
Yeah.
And part of that really just comes down to knowing that along the way, you're going to make money in different ways. In fact, right now,
profit centers.
Yeah, here are your profit centers to write down. The first one is that you could get it below market. So there could be some equity when you buy it. It is a profit center, but it's not the only profit center. Another profit center is appreciation, right? Like some markets appreciate faster than others. Part of it has to do with the local economy, the macro economy, and the things that are happening. Big business just moved in. Utah's like booming right now, for example. Prices are going up. There's a lot of money to make on the appreciation side. But let me ask you, Stephen, should you only buy a house because the market's going up?
No, absolutely not.
Because what goes up?
Comes down.
And that means that you can't look at appreciation in isolation. So we always look at appreciation. It is a profit center. We account for it. We don't count on it because that means that you have a crystal ball and you think you know what the economy is going to do, and nobody's got that. The smartest, most intelligent economist on the planet does not know when or how busts are going to happen. But those are two profit centers: the equity that you buy it with, the appreciation that can happen.
Another profit center is cash flow, right? And so you want to make sure that the home has good cash flow. Now, I want to say this though, what if your home didn't have crazy awesome cash flow, but you were able to secure a 20 or 30% equity position in that home? Could it still be worth getting that home?
That all comes down to taking all the profit centers and evening them out and saying, what's my blended ROI? What's my ROI on this property that I'm projecting, and then what I actually end up getting? Because sometimes equity is high and cash flow is low. Sometimes equity is minimal, but cash flow is high. So you've got to be able to look at all of them. Yeah. Another profit center is going to be your tax benefit, right? Like some of you are in a situation where you want money and you don't want to pay taxes on it. Real estate is an incredible place where you can buy up a lot of real estate, pick up a lot of money, and yet because you get to write off the depreciation, the interest, the tax benefits, you might be able to actually make up to $5,000 or $10,000 a year on a property before you even pay a penny in tax with all the write-offs that it has. So by the way, is that a part of the blended ROI for you? Yes, because it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And this is the thing that is important to people with money. One of their rules is don't lose money, and their second rule is how do I keep the money that I'm making? Because there are some scenarios where you could make a grundle of money, and by the time you're done with taxes and everything, you've paid so much of it out the doors that it's like, I could have gone into a way more conservative investment, not put nearly as much money at risk, and actually wound up with more money.
I'm just curious though, real quick, before we go on, how much is a grundle?
A grundle is at least 4.8.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So just want everyone to understand.
Hertz. Mega.
So should you buy real estate at market value? The answer is it depends, right?
Yep.
There's all these different profit centers. There's this blended ROI that Kris has been talking about, which is an amazing thing to think about, which is you're going into this home, you're going into this investment, and just be aware. Be aware of all those different profit centers and how they come together and work together that gives you that overall ROI.
And let's just real quick break down as a bonus, what do I mean by a blended ROI? This would mean, well, on appreciation over the last 2 years, my property went down in value. but I bought it with equity, so I'm actually still ahead. So I could be down 6% on appreciation, I could be up 10% on equity, and then at the same time I could be up 4% because of my cash flow on the property, and I could be up 3% on my tax benefits. I add them all up and I'm sitting at 13% a year on my money. That's what we mean by blended. Some are down, some are up, but what is the average as a whole when you add them all up? And frankly, that's what real estate does. When people say they make a lot of money in real estate, I always like to go one step deeper and say, you're claiming that a deal under that strategy made you that money. But I want to know what the profit centers are and where was your real money made? Where was your safe money made? Where was the risky money made? Because it might be that someone might be bragging about how crazy they are, and you look at timing in the market, and it's like, yeah, every idiot that owned real estate during that phrase made a lot of money. Stop believing your press clippings. You're not the stuff. All you did was have good timing. And even though we can't read the market, and we can't play timing all that well, it does give us hints and indications. The reality is there's going to be periods where you're going to look like a financial genius when you got lucky, and then there's going to be a period when the real geniuses emerge because the markets went down and you made a grundle. 4.8 hertz.
Megahertz.
All right, so friends, that's what we mean by blended ROI. So should I buy a property at market value? I've done it. There are times when it is absolutely, like there's a deal I'm doing right now. I'm really buying it at market, and the cash flow is so high on it that I don't care.
Right.
And there are other projects where it's just like the cash flow is going to be really pathetic, but the equity is really good. Cash flow I get today, equities tomorrow. There's trade-offs, there's pros and cons. So we're inviting you to become a more sophisticated investor and look at all the different profit center levers, and then to look at how they produce your blended ROI. And that'll tell you whether you should buy a property at market value or not. Hey friends, thanks for watching this video. I hope it was useful for you and really gives you more of a deeper understanding into how my decision-making process works with real estate and understanding values. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you take care of that right now, because every day I'm pumping out videos. And if this is useful for you, if you subscribe, then in a matter of videos and in a matter of time, you'll possess the knowledge that I have that has allowed me to retire at the age of 26 and frankly make piles and piles of money, so that today I can be living in a world of abundance, doing greater good, sharing, being a blessing to other people. Bottom line is that when we can get ourselves from fear and scarcity into the world of abundance, everything gets to change. And trust me, that's a world you want to live in.